Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so when you hear the word fungi, what immediately pops into your head? Probably just a little button mushroom sitting on a slice of pizza, right? Or, maybe that annoying green fuzz you find on an old loaf of bread in the back of the fridge. But what if I told you that the fungal kingdom is actually literally a realm of real-life science fiction? We are talking about organisms with abilities so absolutely bizarre and powerful, they honestly seem like they belong in a comic book or some sci-fi thriller. Today, we're cracking open the vault on the hidden superpowers of fungi. We're going to look at creatures that can literally control minds and feast on deadly radiation. Okay, let's dive into this by shattering a massive, really common misconception. You see humans on one side and trees on the other, right? Most of us intuitively group fungi right in there with plants. I mean, they grow in the dirt, they don't exactly walk around, so they've got to be botanical, right? Well, actually, scratch that. Wrong. The shocking biological reality here is that fungi are actually closer relatives to us, to humans and animals, than they are to the plants and trees they actually grow on. It's wild. On a cellular level, their structure and the way they process energy share way more in common with you and me than with, say, a mighty oak tree. It's a total paradigm shift. We aren't just looking at weird plants here. We are looking at incredibly advanced evolutionary cousins. Section 1. Microbial dark matter. So think about outer space for a second. We know the universe is expanding, and it's filled with all this dark matter that we can't see but we know is there, holding everything together, right? Well, we have a similar, terrifyingly vast scale of the unknown right here on Earth, just beneath our feet, inside the soil and deep in the rainforests. 12 million. That is the sheer scale of this unexplored frontier. Scientists estimate there are up to 12 million species of fungi that remain completely undiscovered on Earth. Just let that sink in for a moment. 12 million unique species. That means millions of totally unknown genetic codes, their own evolutionary tricks, their own wild survival mechanisms, all just waiting out there in the dark. We have barely even scratched the surface of cataloging them, let alone actually understanding what they're capable of. And this vast, unexplored frontier is what we call microbial dark matter. It's basically the undiscovered majority of microbial organisms, including all those millions of unknown fungi species we just talked about. It is, without a doubt, our planet's ultimate biological blind spot. But here's exactly why this matters for us today. If the species we don't know about make up this massive hidden dark matter, just think about the strange, totally mind-bending superpowers we've already found in the tiny fraction of species we actually do know. Let's move forward and check out how this builds into one of the most terrifying examples in all of nature. Section 2. The zombie fungus. All right, we're leaving the lab now and stepping deep into the dense, humid jungle. And we are walking right into a true biological horror story. Because if you thought zombies were just some Hollywood fiction, well, nature has a very different, very real script to share with you today. Meet cordyceps, the ultimate biological hijacker. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that this isn't a fungus that simply infects a host and gives it a bad cold. No, it doesn't just kill its host, it completely, totally takes over its body. It robs the host, usually some unfortunate ant, of its free will entirely and turns it into a living, breathing puppet designed solely to serve the fungus. It's cold, it's calculated, and it is just absolute biological domination. So the really crucial point here is exactly how this nightmare actually unfolds. Step 1. The cordyceps fungus chemically hijacks the ant's nervous system. It basically floods the ant's brain with compounds that completely override the insect's natural instincts. Then, step 2. It physically connects directly to the ant's muscle fibers. It's essentially hot-wiring the ant's limbs. So the ant is still alive, but it is definitely no longer in the driver's seat. And finally, step 3. The fungus forces the ant to climb to high ground. And why do that? Because high ground provides the absolute perfect vantage point. Once the ant reaches that optimal height and bites down on a leaf in this permanent death grip, the fungus consumes the ant from the inside out, bursts the stalk right through its head, and then disperses its spores to rain down and infect the rest of the ant colony below. It is quite literally a masterpiece of horrific, mind-controlling engineering. Section 3. Eating Chernobyl's radiation. Okay, so from the oppressive biological horror of the jungle, let's pivot energetically over to a completely different but honestly equally extreme environment, the desolate, ruined walls of the Chernobyl nuclear reactor. As we all know, it's the site of the worst nuclear disaster in history. It's an environment flooded with lethal energy where absolutely nothing should be able to live. And yet, as you'll see, for a totally different kind of extreme survivalist, Chernobyl isn't a wasteland at all. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet. When scientists actually sent remote robots into those highly radioactive ruins, they expected to find a completely sterile, dead zone. Instead, they were absolutely amazed to find life. And not just one random weird biological anomaly, no. They found exactly 37 distinct species of fungi thriving directly on the reactor's walls. These organisms were just bathing in levels of radiation that would obliterate most DNA, and yet, there they were, flourishing. And this brilliantly illustrates one of our most mind-blowing discoveries, a specific species called Cryptococcus neoformans. This isn't just some fungus that manages to passively survive the radiation either. No, it actively seeks it out. It literally absorbs and converts deadly gamma radiation into usable metabolic energy. You guys, it eats radiation. Just really think about that for a second. Just as plants use chlorophyll to turn sunlight into food, this fungus performs this unbelievable biological alchemy, turning the single most destructive energy created by mankind into its own personal fuel source. Crazy, right? So how in the world does it pull off this sci-fi superpower? Well, the secret weapon is melanin, which acts as a biological radiation shield and an energy converter. Now, this is a fascinating irony that you should definitely take away from this explainer today. Melanin is the exact same pigment we have in our own human skin. But in these extreme fungal survivalists, the melanin is actually structurally adapted to capture gamma rays and convert them into chemical energy. So a pigment that merely gives humans our skin tone is literally allowing these organisms to feast on a nuclear disaster. It's just such an elegant, brilliant biological hack. Which brings us to a pretty provocative question that I want to leave you with today. We've just seen a fungus that can completely hijack a host's nervous system and puppet its body around. We've seen fungi that use the exact same pigment from our own skin to literally eat deadly nuclear radiation. And yet, remember that massive number from earlier? 12 million. Up to 12 million species of fungi are still out there, completely undiscovered, just floating out there in that microbial dark matter. If the species we already know about can control minds and eat radiation, what else is hiding in the dark? What other alien-like superpowers are evolving right now, right beneath our feet, just waiting to be discovered? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope it blew your mind a little bit. Keep your curiosity sharp, and I'll catch you on the next one.